guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be the 9th update in my rolling project 10 pan for the year, and I feel like I have a really underwhelming update. I felt like last month was overwhelming, but I feel like I reached this point in the year and I start to like kind of feel panners burnout, and I'm definitely thinking of scaling back even just a little bit further next year in my project panning journey. I will still do a rolling project 10 pan, but I really just want to like enjoy my collection however I feel like using it for the day. So there might be a few tweaks and changes to the panning content next year. Regardless, I do still have one rollout to share with you guys today, and I will be rolling a project in to replace that. However, any products that I might finish between like this update and the end of the year, I will likely not replace that product just because we are getting closer to the end of the year. I do have one product that is still missing, and it is my Beverly Hills blush by Merit. So I'm actually just gonna replace that with another Merit blush as well, just to like keep working on my Merit blushes. But I'm like, where the heck did my Beverly Hills blush go? Like, where is it? But if you guys are interested in my update, stay tuned. First, if you haven't yet to subscribe to my channel and you like project planning content, palette themed content, or just chit-chatting about makeup, I'd love if you'd consider subscribing before moving on. And other than that, let's jump into the video. Alright guys, we're going to start with my Rowan Quad, and I told you guys I did not want to do a pan that palette, although I am bringing pan that palette back. I am going to pan my ABH Jackie palette, but I'm not going to put as much pressure on myself to update that as frequently, but I did announce that in my most recent No Pan Left Behind update. Anyway, this is my Rowan Quad. This is what this is looking like, and I rolled this in one because these are 4 cream shadows, so of my eyeshadow, like this is more likely to go bad quickly. And I will say I do feel like some of these shades are definitely starting to dry out a little bit, so I feel like no matter where we're at the end of the year, this might be something that I do need to declutter, just because I do notice a decline in like the performance, especially of the shadows that do already have the pan. I just feel like they're a little bit drier now. But two, I thought it would just be fun to track my progress on a quad that I can easily pair with many other palettes. It can be used as a complementary palette, and that's mostly how I use this palette. And I also love the Rowan Quads so much, so I want to get use out of these palettes because obviously, so I definitely want to get use out of my Rowan Quads. This was my oldest Rowan Quad in my collection, which is why I decided to roll this one in. If I didn't say, this is the 75 degrees quad, but I'm going to flip open to my page so we can see where we are at. So going into this update, I'd only reached for this quad 35 times this year. Yes, I've not been doing the best, and I only reached for this an additional 5 times. It seems to be I reached for it somewhere between like 3 to 6, I believe was my highest use month. But I've been having so much fun with like other eyeshadows that some days it's just hard to motivate me to reach for this. But anyway, so I've reached for this a total of 40 times. This shade right here, I'm so close to pan, you guys, on this shade, but I didn't reach for the shade at all. Why? Like, why can't I just at least hit a pan? Before the end of the year and before I declutter this, I must have a pan on all 4 shades. But let's go shade for shade. So this first shade right here, let me stand up so it's maybe a little bit better. I had reached for 22 times prior to this update. I reached for this an additional 2 times. So we are at 24 total uses on this shade. This shade right here, I have reached for 21 times going into this update. And I did reach for this one an additional 3 times. So we are at 24 total uses on this one as well. Down here in the corner, not super close to a pan on this one, but this is my most used this past month. So I'd reached for this one 12 times leading into this update, and I did reach for this one an additional 5 times. So every time I reached into this palette, I was reaching for this shade and then sometimes reaching for a couple other shades. But we are at 17 total uses on this shade, and then this shade right here, which is probably just a couple uses away from a pan. I was at 7 uses and I didn't reach for it at all. So we're at 7 uses. So that is where we stand with my Rowan Quad. Again, I just want to hit a pan in all the shades before the end of the year, and I will likely end up decluttering this one. We'll see how I'm feeling on December 31st or January 1st, whenever the finale happens. but that's kind of the plan for right now. We can talk about like the least exciting progress. Next, I have my NARS Laguna bronzer. This is my NARS Laguna cream bronzer. This is what my bronzer is looking like. My goal with this one is just to hit a pan, and I think I reached for this one total time since the last update, so not making great progress there. Even if I were to consistently reach for this, I'm like, I honestly don't know if I could hit a pan just because the product is so thick. Not like on the face, but like it's a thick layer until we hit the pan, and I feel like I need so little of this because it is quite pigmented. So I don't think I'm going to be successful with this one, but we're going to keep it in the project, you know, and see what happens. Okay, I don't think I have exciting progress on my ColourPop Super Shock shadow in the shade Ritz either. This has been a struggle this year. I did end up repressing this, so this does, this is what it looks like now, and I will post pictures off to the side. I again maybe reached for this 1 or 2 times. I have been horrible at reaching for my ColourPop Super Shock. Again, just because I've been doing like a lot with my eyeshadow, even on days that I've been going to work, I haven't been doing a lot of one and dones lately. So I am not confident that I will finish this by the end of the year, just because I know I've already repressed this and there's like not a lot of product left in there, but ColourPop Super Shocks actually take forever to finish. So we will see if a miracle happens, but I'm not super confident in this one. Okay, this rose ink highlighter, I was so good at reaching for this in August, and then I'm like, I don't know that I've reached for this much at all in September. So this is what this one is looking like. This did have a pan when we rolled it in. There was definitely a pan expansion like last month, but I don't know that there'll be any change this time around because I'm like, I don't remember reaching for this. So I need to like get back on the wagon with this one. I don't necessarily think it's possible to finish this by the end of the year, even if I was really consistent with this one. But I wanted to focus on this one because I do love this shade. It's a really beautiful, kind of like ethereal pink. If I didn't say, this is the shade Opalescence. And I feel like it just gives, because of its shade, it kind of just gives this really skin-like color, especially because I'm more cool complected, except for when I'm like tanning and things. I just feel like it matches my skin tone really well, and so it looks like more of a natural glow. I think it's absolutely stunning. But two, this is also, rose ink products I feel like are known to go bad more quickly. It's a clean beauty brand. And I often feel like with many of their products, I'm having to really warm the product up because it's starting to dry out. Not only with this, but I also noticed that with my bronzer. So I really wanted to see how much of this I could use up, and even like if I get really close, hopefully roll it over into next year and empty this out early into 2025, but we'll see what happens. Okay, next up, I have reached for this one some. This is my Fenty Beauty, I almost said highlighting stick, foundation stick in the Eaze Drop foundation stick. I'm not gonna, well, I will roll mine up. Okay. This is it. Oh, no, it's not. Okay. Yeah, you can really, even after you get past the point of no, oh, I really do have more of this than I thought. Okay, I'm gonna be really careful because this one, once you like roll it up, you can keep rolling and it'll really push the product up. So I do still have quite a bit of this left. I have reached for this on a number of occasions. I will say I am not loving this the same way that I was loving this last year. And I feel like maybe it's because my skin is aging, or just there is something about this that I feel like maybe it's the longevity. Like maybe I'm wearing this to work and I feel like it's starting to make my skin look a little bit drier towards the end of the day. And then I've also noticed there's a couple of cream products, and maybe it's the cream product, but some of the products just aren't laying as nicely on this as I once thought that they did. So I think once I finish this up, this won't be a repurchase for me. When I want something a little bit lighter, I really love my Supergoop like tinted SPF. So I don't think this will be a repurchase. I will be happy to finish this. I hope I finish this before the end of the year, just because I would love to have another foundation moved out of my collection to potentially make room for more new foundations, right? But I think when I first got this and was using it very consistently in the beginning, I was really loving this. But I just have noticed that I haven't been loving it as much lately. Next up, I have my Fresh Lip Sugar in the shade Honey. This is how much I have left of this. I feel like I was really good about reaching for this in August, and I was not so good about reaching for this one this month. This is something, because of the tint to it, it really makes me look like I have chapped lips, because the tint gets like above my lip lines if I'm not like the most careful, which when I'm reaching for like a lip balm or a chapstick, I don't want to have to be careful with it. So for that reason, I don't bring it to work. I don't keep it at my work desk. I have used it as my car glass, but right now I have my e.l.f. lip oil as my car glass because I'm really trying to get through that. So I really just need to like buckle down. I'm sure I can finish this before the end of the year. I bought this last year and Fresh has reformulated. This used to be like my favorite lip balm, one of my favorite lip balms. And now I just do not love it because I don't feel like it hydrates and nourishes my lips like the old formula did. So I'm like, why did they reformulate? Next I have my Becca Chrissy Teigen Glow Gloss. I have not been good about reaching for this. I've been horrible, in fact. I'm about halfway through the product. I will say though that when I look at where it's settling, it is settling right about here. I know that there's gloss like up here, but it really just is the way that the windowing has happened, and really the gloss is settled. Honestly, even maybe a little bit lower than this line, I'm not sure, so I don't want to make a new marking. But I feel like I've only been consistently reaching for this a couple of times a month, like right after I film this update, and then I kind of forget about it. I have panned a Becca gloss in the past before, and they literally take forever to get through. But I really want to finish this because obviously Becca hasn't been a brand for a while, so this is a very old gloss in my collection. It is a really beautiful nude. I don't want to put it on top of what I have now, but it is a really beautiful nude gloss. Like, I don't have any qualms with this, but I've just been struggling to get myself to reach for it. I am so confident and hopeful I'll finish this before the end of the year. Like, these three I definitely think could be empties, which I would love to at least finish 3 more products in this project, but only time will tell. All right, and then the last product before my empty is my Nabla Angel Radiant Plumping Primer. I actually think this will be an empty before the end of the year as well, but I don't get to make a new line marking. So when we started, we were way up here, and now we are about here. I know it's settled a little bit higher, but I think it's just the way it's windowing. I think I really am about to that line. If I use this the same amount as I did in August, I'd be so close to being done with it. I will say this is not a primer I like to use on my face just because it is quite sticky, kind of distracting, and just gives us like almost like too much of a golden glow for me. It just doesn't look right on my skin. So I do kind of just use this all over my body, and that's the way that I have been getting use out of it, but I don't really remember to reach for it all that frequently that way, especially now that we are reaching the colder months. So I need to just remind myself to use this. I honestly was digging around searching for this product this morning, and I was like, where in the heck is the primer? I sat down to film and I was like, I'm just gonna have to tell him I can't find it right now. And then I went to go grab one other product out of the like holder behind me, and it was like tucked back there, and I was like, oh, it's been a while since I've reached for this, clearly. So still chugging away on that one. And then my empty, I'm so glad to finally be done with this one. It is my NYX Born to Glow concealer. This is finally an empty. This was my oldest concealer in my collection, and honestly just not my favorite, especially towards the end. It was just way too thin in a way that I didn't feel like offered me a lot of coverage, and I just have other concealers I prefer so much more than I was enjoying this one. So I'm very happy to have this moved out as an empty. Excited to have another concealer empty for the end of the year. Excited to have another empty just in general, and I will roll in a product to replace this. So the blush that I'm going to roll into, oh, that's right, I was going to roll in another Merit blush to replace my Merit blush that I can't find, but I'm actually going to roll in my REM Beauty cream blush in the shade Stage Mom. This is mine all the way rolled up. This is a product that I just feel like I'm always like, do I even like this? I don't know. And then I'll go do a blush declutter and I'm like, oh, I actually do really like that shade. Here, I'll swatch it right here. It is kind of just like a warm peachy cream blush, but I want to motivate myself to use this so I can truly make a decision. Like, I want to use it consistently so I can make a decision on whether or not I truly like this. And so I'm not coming up to these blush declutters being like, So my goal by the end of the year is just to try and get this blush flush with the packaging when it's all the way rolled up. I have no clue if I can actually do that, but I feel like if I am consistently using it, then I'll at least know whether or not I like it at the end of the year, and I'll know if I want to declutter it or not. And then finally, the concealer that I'm going to be rolling in to replace my NYX Born to Glow is going to be another NYX concealer, and this is the NYX Bare With Me Serum Concealer, and I definitely like this NYX concealer much more than I like this one. This one feels just more emollient and hydrating underneath the eyes as well. It just kind of feels like a luxury underneath the eyes. I feel like it gives a really beautiful serum like glow underneath the eyes. Like, it gives this really beautiful finish. It has nice medium coverage without being too heavy or looking cakey, and I just really enjoy it. So I haven't used a ton of it, but I am right here. And I figured I would roll this one in because it is a really easy concealer to kind of track progress. I by no means think I will finish this by the end of the year, but I think it'll be fun to just kind of track my progress for the final 3 months of 2024. And hopefully maybe we could get like halfway through this product. We'll see. We'll honestly see. I honestly have no clue, but this is going to be the concealer that I'm rolling in, and probably the last product that rolls into this project for this year, just because I'm just gonna focus on whatever I can finish, and I don't think I'll roll any new products in just because we're getting so close to the end of the year. But that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to watch today's video and for supporting me and my channel, as you guys always do. I love you guys so much, and I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye.